And a very good Monday afternoon to you from the University of Arizona, Camp Student Radio 1570 AM, campstudentradio.com, or maybe you're listening on Channel 3 in the dorms. I think our statistics indicate that that is not the most common method of listening, but nonetheless still an option there for you. But we expect you on campstudentradio.com. This is the rundown just before 5 o'clock here on a Monday, a very busy Monday in the sports world, especially here at the U of A. We've got an Arizona Wildcats football team that is red-hot, winners of 3 straight. We've got a University of Arizona men's basketball team that is white-hot, winners of 4 straight, including 2 teams that were ranked inside the top 15, one of which was the defending national champion. So let's start with the football team. We'll work our way over to the basketball team that had an impressive, a little bit of a gritty, some are saying ugly, but a victory nonetheless. And coaches always say, Ethan, that they like to learn from wins rather than losses, so that's the case with UCLA. But let's start with another team that won, Brent Brennan's squad, a 30-24 win over the University of Cincinnati. Here's the question, Ethan. What do we make of the win? We said going into the show, none of us were overly optimistic about their chances. Nonetheless, they got it done. Additionally, we said it would be a big statement if they could make it happen. They did. So do we take back that statement? Do we leave it out there? And how do we evaluate the team moving forward?
Yeah, this is a really good team, I think. I mean, Fafita looked like one of the best quarterbacks on Saturday, throwing left and right. The run game looked good. Everything looked great for Arizona on offense,
right,
which is why they scored 30 points and beat the Cincinnati Bearcats. A ranked team late in the season.
Yeah.
That's a huge win for them that most of us in the studio did not think we could get.
Well, in Cincinnati, I mean, here's the thing. They were making a push to win the conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at, hey, if we can have a strong finish, take care of business at home, right, 6.5-point favorite, you're talking about one of the favorites to make an appearance in the Big 12 championship game, and their quarterback seemed like a matchup nightmare for Arizona, right? Sorsby, he's somebody who can attack with his legs. That's been the Achilles heel for the Cats this year, and that just wasn't the case. He certainly had an impact on the game, but especially come the second half, it seemed like Arizona defensively did have some answers. Yeah,
Arizona's defense definitely came to play. They were stopping Sorsby in the run game. Their running back had a ton of carries for a ton of yards, averaged nearly 10 yards a carry, which has been a struggle for this Arizona defense. But look, if you can stop the quarterback run and stop what killed us in BYU and in Houston, that's a win for this defense, as well as getting 2 turnovers in that second half, I want to say. That's a great defensive performance, so you can't complain for the Wildcats.
Yeah, no, there's no question about that. Certainly, they delivered where they needed. Another player that really stood out, and you'll have to bear with me with my voice just a little bit, but I'm trying my hardest. Noah Fafita, I mean, he is playing, and I mentioned this before the game on Friday with Damon, he is playing so much better than he did last season. He really does look like the quarterback that we saw his freshman campaign with Jed Fish, and that's really encouraging because certainly the narrative last year, Ethan, was, hey, maybe Noah Fafita was just a product of Jed Fish, and with his departure, we'll never see him play at that level again. That's kind of where I was leaning towards, and that's not the case. I mean, he is right back there with the way he's played, especially the last couple of games.
I think that part of it from last year was the whole game plan was to just force feed McMillan the entire time. We had one receiver, and that was it. Now he's spreading the ball out. Our run game's better than last year. We've got Chris Hunter, Gio Richardson coming in, making huge plays.
Yeah, and by the way, Fafita, and I'm giving him credit, and he deserves it, 23 of 31 for 293 and a touchdown. But he did have one miss. He rifled an unnecessary bullet pass to Richardson early in the game in the first half. And Gio Richardson had a certain touchdown there, Ethan, but the pass was just way too hot. I don't exactly understand why. I mean, certainly part of playing quarterback is putting the right amount of touch on it, and he didn't do that there, and Arizona was unable to convert. But Gio Richardson had a couple of crucial catches, I think a third down conversion, and then obviously the touchdown that ended up being the difference for them. So he's somebody that's really thrust onto the scene this year. I'm glad you mentioned him because he's worthy of praise. But this offense in general really seems to be finding their stride, and against a Baylor team next Saturday, a Baylor team that just gave up, I think, 50-plus against Utah, right? I mean, it shouldn't stop there. You'd have to think Arizona can build on that and bring that into a big 100%. Game on Saturday.
And you texted me a couple days ago that Arizona still has a prayer for the Big 12 championship, is it?
I think that they do.
Because BYU won, they don't.
Okay. Well, yeah. But here's the thing. What if I don't trust BYU? Now, I understand that BYU has the head-to-head over Arizona. Arizona needs BYU to lose out. Now we'll examine if that's possible. Obviously, Arizona's sitting with 3 conference losses, and again, it does seem like, as Michael chimes in, that Arizona doesn't have a prayer.
Back, by the
way.
Now,
by the way, Michael, a prayer means it's not common, right? I mean, that's kind of definitionally, that means we're not expecting it to happen, but it's a possibility. And as it remains right now, it is still a possibility, but certainly a lot less likely when you consider that BYU is sitting there with one loss and a very critical head-to-head victory over Arizona. Now, what I think we are going to do in all likelihood is regret greatly the blown 10-point lead against BYU, because if Arizona was sitting there with 2 losses, BYU would also have 2 losses. They'd have the head-to-head over the Cougars. Then you're looking at beat Baylor and ASU, and more than likely Arizona would be in the Big 12 championship game. So that collapse does appear to be critical, but outside chance they can still tell themselves this week as they're getting ready for Baylor that there is still a glimmer of hope.
Right, yeah, and also the Houston loss. I think the Houston loss, stung with the team more. Just back-to-back tough road losses. But I want to get back to the Cincinnati game.
Yeah.
The first half was fine. I just think in the second half, that's where Arizona won the game.
Well, yeah.
Looked like a completely different team out there. They scored on every drive in the second half, and the defense came to fruition.
Yeah.
They gave Cincinnati's quarterback Sorsby's problems with the pressure and the disguised coverages, and now I think everyone's feeling at most confident heading into Baylor next week.
Oh, absolutely. I think
especially after the performance they put up against Utah, which was just abysmal.
I think that there is tremendous confidence on campus, and we saw the comments from Brent Brennan, and I think he's really starting to find his stride as his team's head coach. He's starting to relate, I think, with the campus a little bit better. He's showing a lot more animation on the sidelines. He's abandoned the lay, which we mentioned last year on the show. I wasn't a big fan of. I just thought it was a little bit gimmicky / unprofessional. But nonetheless, he has made, I think, the necessary adjustments, and his comments this morning were, hey, you can't drink all day if you don't start drinking in the morning. And, with an 11 a.m. local kickoff, that is going to be the case. Now, I do think the Arizona community does have an obligation to support this team that's playing very well at 7-3 and, try to sell out this stadium. Let's be honest about that. And I do want to talk about the stadium news as well. I don't know if you have thoughts, Michael. And for those who haven't heard, Arizona Stadium from this point forward will now be Casino del Sol
Well,
Stadium.
not till the next fiscal year. So
starting
next fall. Starting next fall.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because I saw in an email that I get courtesy of Camp Student Radio, the email said, we will be holding a press conference inside the Casino del Sol Stadium, which that is interesting.
But that's in the next. It starts in the next fiscal year.
All right, that may. I think. Here's what I think. I believe as far as the branding and signage would start next fiscal year. But I mean, the email that I received said, join us for an announcement in the Casino del Sol Stadium. That's coming from the team, right? And I have it right here. So it is interesting. Now, here are my thoughts on this, and I don't want to dedicate a lot of time on this, but there is a level of hypocrisy that I do think we should point out that I find pretty funny, where you have right before the Florida game 2 weeks ago, Tommy Lloyd bashing the kind of gambling culture, especially around sports, and that he wants the college basketball world to be upfront about what's going on with the injury reports and not hiding around what they're doing. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, his boss, the athletic director, signs off on a naming sale that will have the stadium be called Casino del Sol Stadium, which, for those that aren't familiar, usually casinos house gambling. That's my experience, at least. That's my understanding. Mm-hmm. So you have to admit that is a little bit ironic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And not only is it going to be Arizona Stadium, the athletic director, Desiree, she hinted at a potential name change at the McHale Center, too. She said, quote, McHale will always be in the name, but we are looking at every naming opportunity possible.
Right. Well, I think what that might look like, and I was thinking about that when I read that line, Michael, is perhaps blank and blank floor at the McHale Center. So maybe like Coca-Cola Court at the McHale Center. I'm just
but it's also the Lute and Bobby Olson Court.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah. So you could say like
it could be the Coca-Cola McHale Memorial Center. I don't know.
Yeah, you could say like the Coca-Cola Arena at the McHale Center.
Right.
Or something like that.
Which kind of takes it away from. Now look, Arizona, let's be honest about this. In this nature of economics in college sports and the highly competitive nature for acquiring players, because that's what it is. It's not a transfer, it's an acquisition, right? The days of no corporate sponsors on both your basketball arena and your football stadium, Arizona Stadium, McHale Center, right? I mean, they were leaving almost probably upwards of $100 million on the table. Now, there was going to get to a point where somebody was going to say, hey, we've got to grab this cash off the table. We can't just let it sit there any longer. We've got to get these players if we're going to keep competing. And here's the thing. Now, I'm not criticizing the move. I am just pointing out that there is irony there that can't be ignored. As somebody who commentates on the events and we talk about it twice a week here, it's in our best interest for them to put as good a product as possible on the field, and that's certainly going to be a lot easier with this move. So I am for it. I want to get that out there. I think that whatever it takes to compete with the other schools, especially in basketball, this will be for football and basketball, but like we're talking about the McHale Center, that is a necessary move. But it is, like I said, it is ironic, but this is something that needs to be done because if you're not going to do it, the other schools are, right? You can stay on this moral high ground as long as you want, but if you're in the nature of competition, then I don't know how much you can handicap yourself by leaving that much money on the table. And it is a money game. Let's be honest about this. It is important to have the right coach, and it does look like Brent Brennan is doing nice things, but you do need a certain amount of money to be able to compete in this era. Mm-hmm. And if this move solidifies that, then unfortunately it is the right move. And so I think we have to be honest about that. There is an economics at stake here, and Arizona had to make an economic decision. And yes, it does – it does go back against what Tommy Lloyd said, and he's right. I mean, he's not wrong about anything he said. But unfortunately, this is kind of their only course of action, let's be honest.
I mean, the school did recover from the $240 million debt that they were in a couple years back. And I think now they're just trying to capitalize with profit and use this towards the NIL, right?
Well, the other thing is, and as much as I don't subscribe to propaganda, and I can tell usually when a public official is feeding me BS forcefully, the $240 million budget shortfall and the athletics department, I don't think that they were overly connected. Generally, I think they pull from different pots. And let's get one thing right. The University of Arizona was never going to solve this budget crisis by cutting into athletics. They know how much money they generate every time they go to the Final Four or the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16. They get a huge check. I mean, it's
well, isn't that how Jedd Fisch walked away?
No, I don't think they were connected at all. I think Jedd Fisch. I think there may have been some hesitancy to re-sign him and give him a big contract in light of the shortfall. But Michael, I think if they had the opportunity, they would have made that work. They would have dealt with the bad optics as they were. I truly believe that Jedd Fisch was recognizing that he had a really good season, and he had a huge offer on the table from Washington, one that Arizona couldn't match, because they're in the Big Ten, right? I mean, and the Washington football program is objectively larger than the Arizona football program. Here's the difference, right? Arizona's pot, like we're talking about, it doesn't have to do with the budget shortfall, but it does have to do with the fact that they have about 38,000 people on average at their games. That's my estimate.
Right, but
that's not the case in Seattle. It's just objectively a bigger football program.
But I don't think it's a coincidence that when you sign Brent Brennan, he has the cheapest contract in the conference.
Okay. I think what we have to do when we think about how much money athletics is spending, Michael, is think about how much money does athletics generate per sport, right? Because basketball, they sell out every game. Tommy Lloyd is paid handsomely. Mm-hmm. That was not affected by – he got an extension during the budget shortfall because the arena continually was jammed. Football, they don't consistently sell out. And, again, I think they were able to get Brent Brennan at that price, so why pay him more? And I don't know who else they would have hired. I mean, maybe they were going to try to land a huge name, but they don't. The football team doesn't generate enough to have done that, regardless of the budget shortfall. So I don't think the two things were very much connected. And this money here, like you said, this $60 million that they're getting from the Casino del Sol naming rights is going to be used for future athletic endeavors. Right, this isn't going to go over to the 240, and that 240 number was never going to come over to athletics. I think they're mutually exclusive. They're effectively, I think, they're two different organizations, especially in this world where college athletics is generating so much money and it has become a business. I think the actual university and the athletic departments are basically two different companies. I mean, you may as well be talking about Coca-Cola and Pepsi, or maybe Sprite and Coca-Cola, right, like under the same umbrella, but grossly different. So I do think that's at least how I have come to understand the operations. Now, there's so much sports going on, obviously Arizona, and it's all great news. It's unfortunate that we do have to talk about this a little bit because Arizona's football team is doing I think better than anybody expected at this point in the season, and the basketball team is obviously on a euphoric ride. So I do want to go back to that. But this is something that's going on campus, and I definitely think worthy of conversation. So with that, let's pivot to. And we will spend more time on Friday talking about Arizona and Baylor. Certainly, they have a lot. They've deserved discourse. they've earned it. They've earned our discussion, and we will give them that. But another team that's really earned our love and our is worthy of our attention is the Arizona basketball team and what Coach Tommy Lloyd is doing. It's really impressive, and I have to say this, and I'm gonna let Ethan get in here because he's been patiently waiting, and we do appreciate that. But I think he's also maybe recognizing that the adults are in the room here talking about the naming rights deal, so that's okay. But anyway,
what's that stray for?
Look, I complimented you for being. I complimented you for being patient, so I had to throw one back at you.
Get out of here! I just wasn't listening to the conversation.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I was focused on the new number 4 seed in the AP.
There we go,
voting.
and that's exactly what we're gonna get to, Ethan. And I'm glad you brought that up. So let's be honest about this. I'm gonna start with this, and then I want you both to get involved here with Arizona UCLA. As I see it, and this may not be a hot take, but I just want to make sure that we're on the same page with this. Since Tommy Lloyd has been the head coach, and frankly, going back quite a ways, this season, that's right, not next year, this year, offers a golden opportunity not to go to the Final Four, but to win the national championship. That's where I am. I think as long as he's been the head coach, this team right now has the best chance to win the national championship. I think it's the best team he's fielded. Stylistically, I really approve of how they play, and I do think this team deserves national attention and should be considered one of the favorites to go all the way. Michael Smith?
Well, I think coming into the season, they didn't get any of that, and I'm sure after the first game of the season against Florida, I'm sure they got that. Now they definitely got that in this win against UCLA. And here's the thing, David. We called this game in Phoenix last year where the biggest lead of the game in the second half was Arizona was up by 12 with, I'd say, about 5 to 6 minutes left to go in the game. And UCLA somehow came away with a 3-point victory in a game that neither team scored more than 60-plus points. The final score was 57-54. That is a game that Mick Cronin loves. And this game, right, if you're watching this game on Friday, this game was in L.A., this had everything that was in it last year, right? Defensive battle, very physical in the paint, right? Arizona was struggling to start, right? But it was the opposite. Usually it was up by 10 late in the second half, and Arizona stayed resilient and fought back. This Arizona team, David, I think I can agree with you with this, and I think why is everyone saying it now, just outside of being the top teams, is this team can win ugly. This was not a pretty game.
I agree.
Ever in the slightest, right? UCLA shot incredible, right? You could see in the second half they started turning to Bilodeau, right? Playing through him and turning away from Sky Clark and Donovan Dan and all this pick and roll action. Now they're starting to play with Bilodeau, play through him. He's getting wide open looks. He finished with 19 points and shot 7 of 10 from the floor. That is ugly. Jaden Bradley had a terrible first half. That is ugly. We were getting dominated in the paint. We were in heavy foul trouble. Koa Pete, who has been a ride or die this whole season, played his worst game as a Wildcat, but you have to credit Mick Cronin for playing such great defense on him, and you kind of had to expect that coming into it. They weren't going to let a top 5 freshman beat this UCLA team, and they didn't. And so you had these veterans, Tobe Awaka, coming through with clutch rebounds, strong finishes in the paint. You had, again, Jaden Bradley in the second half and down the stretch, clutch layups after clutch layups. And then you had Del Orso, who carried the torch in the first half when no one could get it going. I think this team, and we said this, Ethan, against Florida, this team has insane depth. They can win in so many ways, and you saw that against this UCLA team. 100%. And I think that's why everyone's saying this team feels completely different.
Right. This was a game we should have lost. UCLA, did not miss. They shot 9 for 17 from 3. That's over 50%, 43% from the field. They should have won the game. They were the better team the entire game. But Arizona found a way to win the game in the clutch. Bradley loves getting to the hole. He loved hitting those crazy layups at the end there. It was whatever. They couldn't stop him. He was going cross right by you.
Absolutely. And look, and against Florida, Arizona out-rebounded what was known as one of the greatest front courts in the country, right? All their guys come back from winning a title. Right now, UCLA comes in, they're very physical down low, right? They're not going to lose the battle down there.
Right. Well,
but they did. They got out-rebounded.
I feel like Arizona is one of the more dominant teams in the paint with both Krivas and Awaka.
And you didn't see this last year.
No, you did not.
This is a completely different
look. That's the value that Krivas brings in comparison to just Awaka and Vesar, who's playing unbelievably, by the way, in UNC.
But he's playing completely different than what we have now.
Krivas is unbelievable in the paint defensively, can rebound like no other, and when you put them both in together, who's stopping them in the paint?
Exactly.
And who's getting a rebound over them? Nobody. Not many people can match up with a 7'2 Krivas and a 6'10 Awaka.
But winning the battle in the paint, points in the paint, 38-20, huge difference. Out-rebounding UCLA, like we mentioned, 35-28. That's how you win these close games deep into March. So now when you play a team like Houston, you play a team like Purdue, you play a team like Auburn, who Arizona will play in less than a month, that's how you win these close games against these top-tier opponents. You can't be afraid of what they have. You got to go right at them.
Yeah, 100%. It's how you win the ugly games. And Arizona has done a very good job at doing that. They did it against Florida down under in the paint. They did it against UCLA again. Tough matchups coming up for them soon. We've got UConn next, but Arizona loves to play dirty. They love to play in the paint. They love to out-rebound people, which is why this team should go far in March.
Absolutely. And I think, we're kind of repeating ourselves here, but it's like in the Tommy Lloyd era, I don't think we've ever seen a team like this where they've played physical, they've played dirty, like you said. Like, they're not afraid to dive on the floor. We saw in Vegas against Florida, Ivan Karchenkov, he's diving on the floor.
Yeah, we love
And this
hustle.
is the first game of the season, and he's playing 36 minutes plus. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to win this game. I'm going to be honest with you. While just watching this game, I'm like, this is the Mick Cronin game. If it's low scoring, UCLA loves it. And I turned to my buddy because I was at a getaway weekend through the school, and we're watching this game, and I'm like, if it comes down to it, still close. If it relies on us getting baskets or us getting stops, I think we win this game by us scoring rather than us getting stops, and we did just that.
Yeah.
And not only that, I'm not sure if you remember in the first half, the broadcasters mentioned it wasn't even halftime yet. There was like 4 minutes left. Both teams had a combined turnovers of 17 or 18, which is insane. And what did Arizona do in the second half? They stopped turning the ball over.
They cleaned it up.
They forced UCLA to turn the ball over way more. And the points off turnovers was a huge, huge, huge difference in the game. And it's what led Arizona to come back and win this game.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a ton of pros that you can take away from this game, from this Arizona team, and this season in general. But there is one thing that I think should be talked about, and it's our three-pointers. Outside of Del Orso on this team, nobody else has been able to hit their shots. Braden Burries has not been able to hit his shots. He went 1 for 6 against UCLA. He had that one big three against NAU to start off the game, but outside of that, he was quiet. He had one good game this entire season, and that was the second game of the season. Who was it against again?
Utah Tech.
Yes, Utah Tech.
So
Arizona's stretching the floor and shooting has not lived up to its par in what it should have been, and arguably what people thought could be one of the better shooting teams in the country, even though they have Koa Pete, who's not the best floor stretcher. I guess my question is, do you think this team will figure it out from behind the arc? And do you think they'll be able to find guys outside of Del Orso to shoot the ball and hit their shots?
Yeah, so the thing with Barry's, and I'm glad you mentioned him, and we all can say, he struggled from beyond the arc. He struggled in the offensive end, right, besides Utah Tech. And it's like, we have all these big games. When is, this top freshman prospect going to come through?
Right, he was a top 15 prospect in the nation.
And I understand, I'm kind of giving him some leeway here because he's coming through on the defensive end, Ethan. I understand he's 1 of 9 from the floor, and 6 of those were from 3. Yes, he comes away with 3 steals, but I think it's just more than the 3 steals. His assignment on the night, Ethan, was Sky Clark, a veteran guard who's very shifty and is crazy quick on the offensive end. He held Clark to 9 points, 3 of 11 shooting, right? You don't see that from Sky Clark, and he's giving them pressure. He would switch on to Dent from time to time. Dent only finished with 11 points on 5 of 16, which is why Dent had 8 assists. He was forced to dish the ball around, and that's why UCLA was forced to play through Bilodeau in the second half, because they realized not only Barry's, but Bradley too. They played amazing on the perimeter.
Right.
So I understand, like, yes, Barry should have knocked down open shots, and I think everyone knows that. Tommy Lloyd knows that. Even Barry's himself knows that, because then I think the game would have ended a long time ago during the game. I would give him more time, because I think, me personally, if he's coming through on the defensive end, that's great. I think that's all, like, for now at least, that's all we need for him. I think he'll slowly come through, especially I think in the conference. I think he'll come through and kind of find his groove.
So,
because
Arizona needs that. Outside of Del Orso,
he's an 18-year-old, and we're expecting him to beat the national champions. We're expecting him to beat UCLA on the road. We're expecting him to now go into UConn and go drop a 20 bomb.
And for good reason, I feel like. He was one of the best prospects coming out of high school this year.
Right.
I feel like it's a good reason. You know, we should be confident in these freshmen. Koa Pete came out and showed it to us in the Florida game. Braden Burry still is yet to show us what he is capable of.
But I think one last thought on him is I'll give him some leeway if he's doing the defensive stuff he's doing, like how he's limiting Clark, how he's limiting Dent.
He definitely has. I feel like this.
And if he can do that down the stretch, then I'm fine with him. Like, I don't mind him missing all these open looks. But yes, I agree with you though. I'd like to see other guys get involved more. Like, I love Bradley's aggressiveness to attack the rim. But if the open look's there, take the open look.
100%.
Right?
And I feel like while this point guard shooting guard duo has great hands on the perimeter, if we come up against a team in March and they just hit their threes,
right,
we haven't shown that we're able to respond to that. If a team like BYU and Richie Saunders hits 5 threes in the game, and AJ DeBance is locking up Koa Pete, you know, this team hasn't shown the capability to hit the shot and respond to a team that has been hitting their shots. And that's what scares me about this Arizona team.
No, absolutely, right? Like, but again, like you said, outside Del Orso, right, you're not really seeing any improvements from beyond the arc, right? And I think for me, and I don't think anyone's really talking about this, is, you know, I understand, you know, Pete and all these guys, they're all going to have bad games, right? They're not going to come through in every single game. Like, that's how you grow, is through the bad games. And, you know, I think this game against UCLA was one of them. I think for Pete, what I want to see from him, he's getting a lot of comparisons to Paulo Banchero. His jumper reminds me of Kawhi Leonard with how flat it is.
You know who he reminds me of? Aaron Gordon.
Gordon? I kind of like that.
Because he's a high flyer. He's athletic.
Young Aaron Gordon, not the Denver Aaron Gordon.
Not the Denver Aaron Gordon that hit 10 threes in opening night. No.
I want to see Pete.
Orlando Magic Aaron Gordon with zero jumper and just athleticism.
I think with Pete, I don't want him to switch his jumper, because that's how, you know, he got himself to this position. I just want to see him, you know, if it's there, I would take the mid-range, right? I wouldn't force it. Obviously, keep attacking the paint and keep going up strong, but, you know, I would just want to see just small and slow development throughout the season, so that way, when the Big 12 tournament comes, when we play a tough team in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8, or even further down the road, hopefully, that shot is there, and that shot is reliable, and he's confident. Because it's all mental, I think, with him.
100%. Based off what we've seen this year, his shot is not there. And I think part of the reason is he has that big hitch in his jumper. If you watch the games, he has he goes up, and then he stops, and then he shoots. If he can develop a smoother jumper for us and be able to stretch the floor from a power forward, that'll be so valuable for this Arizona team.
Can stretch the floor, like you said. And I just want to give my flowers to Awaka really fast. I think him and Krivas down the stretch as well. But it was morely Awaka because I believe it was Krivas that was in foul trouble early on. He had 2 quick fouls to start. Awaka just came in and he set the tone. He really set the tone, and you know, he was very physical. His boxing out was great, jumping high up and going up strong, by the way, over 2 guys. Drawing the contact to get to the line. You know, we'd like to see him knock down his free throws. But, again, it's all physicality, especially against Mick Cronin and UCLA. I think we're going to see that on Wednesday against UConn. You don't think it'll be that physical in a very hostile environment?
It'll definitely be a very physical game. I'm super excited for it. For those that don't know when it is, it's Wednesday at 5, I want to say.
Local time, yep.
5 local time, Arizona time, because that's where we are. Number 4 versus number 3. Arizona going into UConn. going to be an electric game. I'm excited to see Krivas and Awaka dominate the paint like they have all year. I'm excited to see, hopefully, Burries hits a few more shots than he did. I'm excited to see us stretch the floor, and Del Orso come in when we need him, obviously, because he's looked like our only shooter, who he could be. Right. By the way, he could be one of the best shooters in the country, shooting, he hits 4 threes, I want to say, in that UConn game.
Yeah, I
hitting
believe so.
6 total shots, our leading scorer with 20 points. Definitely going to be a compelling game in UConn.
I think with them, so they just played BYU in the TD Garden in Boston. And, I was like kind of in and out of that game. They were up by 14 towards late in the second half. And next thing you know, before my Fox Sports 1 channel switches to USC and South Carolina women's, the game goes final, and it's a 2-point game.
Right.
And I go, oh, my gosh. Now, I'm not discounting BYU and all this stuff, but it's like, well, what happened, right? BYU can score, but so can UConn. So I think, with Arizona, again, they had a slow start against UCLA, and they fought back, and they came back, and they closed it out. Don't be distraught. Don't be caught off guard. Don't freak out if that happens again. I think in UConn or in Connecticut against the Huskies, because I think UConn has shown, right, they can kind of slowly let the foot off the gas, especially in the second half. And we've seen now with Arizona, they can close out these tough games. They can hit the shots when they need it the most. So I think it's going to be a really good game. I think this game might be better than the first couple games we've seen this season against Florida and against UCLA, which is, I think, hard to top, Ethan. Safely put, I think it's really tough to go over those games against Florida and UCLA.
This UConn team is a very good team,
and they can shoot.
They can shoot,
like you said,
which is our issue.
Right. So I think this will be a really, really, really big test.
Yeah, Alex Karabin is one of the best players in the country currently. He shot 8 for 11 from the field, hitting 4 threes, did not miss from behind the arc. Terrace Reed, I want to say is his name. Yeah, he's 7 foot, so he's going to match up perfectly with Krivas. They have 3 guys score over 20 points. We had just 1 in that win against UCLA. Right. So this is definitely a high-scoring team. Arizona's going to have to come out to play. They're going to have to hit their shots like we said they haven't done all year.
And then UConn, right? So you could say on the devil's advocate, right? They haven't played anyone this year, right? Mm-hmm. BYU is the only team they've played. They've opened the season, their first 3 games, Ethan, with New Haven, with a 79-55 victory. Then they host UMass Lowell, if I'm saying that correctly, by 50+. Then they host Columbia, who they beat by 30+. And now they just played BYU in a neutral, you could say, site in Boston, where they barely scraped out a win. So if I'm Arizona, yes, UConn can shoot the ball. But, Arizona's the hottest team in the country, right? They are coming into UConn. They are ready to go, and they want it all, right? Mm-hmm. Tommy Lloyd has said that. I think
having this competition between the defending champs in Florida and UCLA already under your belt is huge for this young team because they've shown themselves that they are competing with some of the top teams in the country, and they are, in fact, one of the top teams in the country. And as they play more and more teams, they're going to feel out their roles more and more. They're going to develop chemistry between each other. They're going to play overall better. Even though that was an ugly game against UCLA, which happens, and good teams do that. But they came out and they won. Right. And that must feel so good for Tommy Lloyd and this Arizona team.
Of course. And good teams win ugly. Mm-hmm. I think we saw, like, last year with UConn and last year with Florida. I remember Florida winning ugly in the SEC tournament. If your team can win ugly, and then you come back the next game and can respond, right? I think that's a really good team and a great sign for down the road. We are 4 games into the season, but like we said with Arizona's schedule, they want it all.
They want it.
Right? They play Auburn at early December. Then they play Alabama in a quote-unquote neutral site.
This is like the death row schedule.
Quote-unquote neutral site in Birmingham. And then you turn it about a week later, you play a gritty San Diego State team in Phoenix. So, and then,
And then that
couple games after
stretch in March as well, or February, March, going into March.
Couple games after, that's when conference play opens up.
And that's a brutal conference we're looking at.
And it doesn't get any easier, does it? It's the best basketball conference in the country. So credit to Arizona. I think with them, I want to see them continuing to attack the paint, Ethan. Like you said, UConn is not small compared to UCLA. They're a little bit taller.
They're not small whatsoever. And UCLA is not a small team, by the way.
And this is the first true road game for Arizona. So I'm curious how the team will respond in a real hostile environment, in an actual home crowd for the Huskies. That'll be something. And then, like you said, shooting.
We have to be able to.
Delorso, credit to him. He hit 4 of 7 from downtown, but I think a couple of those were little huck-ups, like fading away off his back foot.
Yeah, no, they were definitely just luck of the draw shot type of shots. Delorso, while he did hit a lot of very good shots, open shots, good looks.
Right.
Some of them were not what we would like to see out of this offense, but bad possessions happen for the best teams. So, a win's a win at the end of the day. You can't complain with how Arizona's been playing. They're now 4-0 and a top 5 team in the country. I think we could talk about this team and how good they are for days.
For all day, yeah. When we come back,
why are we taking a break? Let's.
Oh, you want to keep going? Let's keep going.
Let's stay on.
Let's keep going.
Let's talk about what do you want to talk about? Because there's
I want to
so much going
I want to
on.
mostly focus on UConn and how Arizona can stop them.
Okay, I was gonna segue us to the NFL because
we could do that.
Okay, so. Oh, perfect timing. David's back as well in the studio as he goes on a little hiatus. Where was he?
Well, just discussing some logistical things. Here's the bottom line. Ethan Glaich and Michael Smith are some of the most informed, bright people this university has to offer. So I was more than confident that the two of you could handle a conversation about a basketball team that is surging, absolutely surging. And, again, I'm assuming a very positive discussion. So I'm sure you guys did a great job. Where did you want to transition to? That's kind of what I mean, look, there's a busy NFL slate out there, right? The college football landscape is also contaminated. Here's what I was thinking. Now, I think you guys did justice on Arizona and basketball and where they are. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So here's a pressing question that I have. Absolutely pressing, because I can't figure it out. I think I know, but I don't know for sure. Who is going to win the American Football Conference, also known as the AFC? I don't know. Is it the Patriots, who are 9-2? Is it the Broncos, who are 9-2? Or is it one of the old established, been around the block teams such as Buffalo, Baltimore, or Kansas City, right? So the question you have to have, first of all, is it a newcomer or is it, an old foe? That's the first thing. And you can categorize them very concisely into 3 and 3. So the first 3 is the newcomers, and that would be Indy, and ironically, they were all terrific 10 years ago. In the Brady, Peyton Manning era, these teams were great. But now, they haven't been great for quite some time. New England, Denver, the Colts. That's category A. They are the new teams that we didn't have on our radar this year, but have exceptional records, okay? So you can either pick from A, or you can pick from B. B is the teams we all had coming into the year that have all been a little bit disappointing. Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City. So first question, Ethan, are you picking from A or B, and then we'll get to who. But first, go with, do you trust a new team or you trust an old team?
It's a tough question.
Yeah, it is.
Because the Patriots look like one of the strongest teams in football.
I think you're right about that.
And they haven't lost.
Now, there is a theory.
Feels like 3 months.
There is a theory that I told Michael about, and he thinks I'm kidding. I'm not kidding about this one bit. Whenever a team dismantles the New York Jets, you don't want to put too much stock into that because that's really not that impressive. And so the most recent thing for the Patriots is they did just dismantle the Jets. But before that, they were 8-2 before they played them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I don't remember disagreeing with you on that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you just thought I was kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm serious.
No, I know that.
All right, then I apologize for bringing you into that.
A good team you could look at that did that was the Cowboys.
You're exactly right about that.
They destroyed the Jets. They scored on almost every possession.
And then they turned around and lost to the Panthers.
And then they lost to the Panthers, and they lost again, right?
Yeah. They're just generally not very good. And the
good
Dallas
team.
Cowboys, too, play tonight. And before we get into this, I have a bone to pick with the NFL. Can I pick that bone first, and then we'll finish this conversation? I don't get to do that.
No.
Interesting.
No. Go pick the bone.
It seems that it's more it's more within my parameters to have Ethan removed from the studio, never to return, than it is to have him tell me that I can't say that. But nonetheless, here's my problem with the NFL. We were really, in November, spending a Monday night with the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I happen to be, Michael, very informed on the rules for flexing games. I know the policy down to a T.
Yeah.
I can share it with you if you'd like.
Please.
Here's how it works. From Sunday, the NFL can bring any game from Sunday, and they can either bring it to Sunday night or Monday night. They have to do it in a certain amount of time. But the exception is each network, CBS and Fox, get to keep one game. So they can puppy guard what they view as their strongest game and say, hey, we're NFL, we're paying you a lot of money, we want this. But they cannot do that.
NBC can't do that.
No, NBC is Sunday Night Football. So NBC can also request other games, and then CBS and Fox. CBS and Fox are the only two, because they have a plethora of games, right? They have a clot of games. They can keep one. But if there's two good CBS games, the NFL can take that second one. There's nothing CBS can do about it, okay?
Got it.
So here's my issue. You look back at last week, Sunday Night Football was brilliant. Now, it wasn't a beautiful game to watch. That's
a defensive masterclass. I think we got to honor the defense.
I happen to enjoy that game. Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say, it was for some, maybe they weren't entertained by it. I had no issue. I watched that game pretty much to its completion, start to finish, and enjoyed it because it was pretty good football. And two of the top teams in the league. Sunday Night Football was fine. CBS had Kansas City, Denver. They also had Tampa Bay, Buffalo. Okay? So if CBS wants to keep one, there is no reason the other game could not have been on Monday Night Football. Say they said, hey, we need Denver and Kansas City. We've got Jim Nantz there. We need that game. Okay, great. We're stealing Tampa and Buffalo. Because I can guarantee you one thing, Michael. Tampa-Buffalo is much more entertaining than Dallas and the Raiders. That's the first thing. Here's the second thing. Fox, while we're at it, while we're going to play this game, because we're playing this game, Fox had Seattle, L.A. They also had Vikings, Bears. Now, I hate to break it to you. Vikings, Bears, or whichever. Again, both of them are better than Dallas and the Raiders. So finally I ask, what are we doing? Why are we watching this tonight? It was avoidable.
No, I get it. My question is, slightly off topic, is why, even though I prefer the...
I know exactly where you're going. I think I can finish your entire sentence.
Finish it.
Here's what you're going to say. Even though I prefer Greg Olson and the other announcer,
Joe Davis,
why was Tom Brady not doing the Rams and the Seahawks?
Yes.
Is that exactly what you're going to say?
Yes, that's exactly.
I'm in your head. Now, let me tell you something. First thing, not every household had it was a Fox single, okay? So it was a Fox single. So what does that mean? There was only one Fox game all day. Now, this, again, I apologize for our listeners because there was such great sports being played today, and we've spent half the show talking about semantics and technicalities.
Yeah, no.
But I do want to finish this point. So it was a Fox single, a CBS doubleheader. So you got, if you don't have Sunday ticket, you got two CBS games, early, late, and you got one Fox game wherever, mostly depending on your local market. So a lot of people did not get Seattle and LA, even though it was a really good game.
Okay.
Because, like, if you're a Giants fan, you got the Giant game on Fox, and that was it. If you're a Packer fan, you got, and so forth. So, to that reason, they look at this very simple calculation. They look at the households and they say, are more people going to get the Bears game or more people going to get the Rams game? More people got the Bears game, probably by a good margin, because a lot of people live in Chicago, a lot of people live in Minnesota, and just the Midwest in general probably opted for that game over the West Coast game. So that's why they were there. Now, to your point, much better game in the afternoon, and it was competitive, and we can touch on it, but that's the answer.
Right, no, but also, who controls who gets what? Like,
well, the network.
Exactly, the network. Why wouldn't Fox be like, hey, everyone, here's LA and Seattle
because
for you?
Local contracts suggest. Okay, so this is also crucial, right? If you're living in New York City, I'm telling you right now the answer to this. Would they rather watch the Giants Packers or would they rather watch Seattle LA Rams? They'd rather watch Giants Packers by far. If you're in New York and you're a Giants fan, of which there are millions, they'd rather watch Giants Packers.
Right. Another thing
that's
is
your team, so it's like an unfair.
But that's the comparison. That's what has to be done. So if you look at a map across the board, right, all the toss-up places probably got Rams Seahawks, but there's not that many toss-up places, Michael. A lot of these markets already have teams, and a lot of them were playing on Fox.
Right.
So for that reason, the Rams Seahawks game was just not that available, and for that point. That's why there was no Tom Brady there. It was curious, but that's why.
Can I get a point in? Another thing for the Rams-Seahawks game on, like, this network, whatever we're going on, Spaz, whatever we're going on, here is...
This is an interesting conversation.
Very interesting. That the Rams recently moved there, and not too many people in the LA area are watching them. In comparison,
but that doesn't matter.
In comparison
that's
to
not
New
the
York
point, though,
City
Ethan.
with the
That's
Giants.
not the point. No, that's not the point.
Because the people in LA got the game anyway.
Yeah, right. No, that's not the point. The point is the out of market people.
Right.
That was the point.
So I'm looking at a thing right here, and not that. Okay, so I have it. I have this exactly. I have it on very good authority. The LA Rams game was available in Southern California, in Southern Nevada. It was available in Idaho, Wyoming, Oregon, and Washington State. It was also available in a little bit of an Appalachia pocket spanning from Buffalo to Cincinnati. But much of the Midwest, a huge conglomerate of the Midwest, including Denver, Kansas City, Dallas, Minnesota, Chicago, and Indianapolis, received the Vikings and the Bears. And if you were to do a study and see, based on population, more people, more humans received Vikings, Bears than they did Rams, Seahawks. And by the way, the entire Northeast got the Giants-Packers game spanning all the way from Boston to Washington, D.C. That's a ton of people. So, frankly, the Packers, you could honestly say the Packers game against the Giants may have had more attention than the Rams and the Seahawks.
But my question is, this goes back to what you first said of why was there a CBS doubleheader and only a Fox single?
That's determined at the very beginning of the season. That's determined in May.
I think that's ridiculous. I think there should be a doubleheaders on both channels.
Now,
but I guess that encourages more fans to get Sunday tickets.
Exactly.
Which is
also like $600.
It's all a marketing scheme.
The Sunday ticket is like $600.
Unless you use your student deal. Then it's down to
Now this brings
100.
us back to my point, Michael Smith, which is that for heaven's sakes, the Rams game should have been on Monday Night Football, and we could have fixed this whole issue because nobody gives a damn, and I can say that on the radio. Nobody cares.
You don't want to
about
watch the Cowboys lose?
Raiders. Not only that, not only do I not want to watch the Cowboys lose, I don't want to watch the Cowboys against the Raiders. If the Cowboys were playing somebody interesting like Detroit, then yes. But against the Raiders, no thank you, hard pass. Now, why the Seahawks game wasn't flexed when it was well within their rights to do so, Michael?
Here's why.
That's my problem.
Here's why. The Cowboys bring in so many viewers, so much money, no matter what, because they're the Cowboys. And the NFL saw that. They're like, this is the Cowboys playing. No matter what, we're going to get viewership.
All over, people are going to be complaining about this game.
Yes, no, exactly.
More than there are Cowboy fans.
Yes, and it's like, I have a running joke with my buddies is all publicity is good publicity.
Right.
In this case.
Does that apply if I see you on University face down in a garbage can yakking? Is that good publicity for you?
That's the running joke, right? Besides the point, listen, great. You get tons of viewers from Vegas and all these Raiders fans and all these Cowboys fans, wherever they may be.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's good viewership.
No.
That doesn't mean it's good viewership.
Michael Smith, I agree with you. Just because, and then, by the way, a good game between Seattle and the Rams, and we can break down that game if you'd like. A good game between Seattle and the Rams would do a better number than a terrible, uninteresting game between Dallas and the Raiders.
You don't think if the Seattle-LA game, if you don't think that game was flexed to tonight, you don't think there'd be so much going into this?
So much buzz.
Oh my God.
So much buzz. And we were robbed of it because of what Ethan said, because the NFL values how many Cowboy fans there are, and the general public, once again, Michael, they got the shaft. Okay?
Another thing is
they didn't get what they deserved.
The Cowboys are the most hated team in the NFL, so that brings in more viewership.
But it's hard to hate a team that's 3-5-1 going nowhere, right? I mean, so what? I mean, if I hate you,
I want to watch.
If I hate you and you're a disaster,
every single week,
that's all well and good, but it doesn't make a difference. I mean, the Cowboys are irrelevant. That's what it comes down to. The Cowboys and the scheme, when they write the story of 2025, the NFL season, right? When we look back in 50 years, the Dallas Cowboys at best will be a footnote, and at worst won't make the book at all. They're not involved in this year's story, and the Seahawks and the Rams are. And that story could have been told on Monday night, and it's not. The NFL should be ashamed of themselves. That's my bone to pick. Ethan didn't want me to pick it, and frankly, I'm glad we did because it just produced about 10 minutes of content.
Well, thankfully, in Week 16, the Rams and Seahawks will play on a prime time.
There we go.
So we get
now.
it back.
Now, I do believe that if the broadcasting doesn't work out, I should be the schedule maker and in charge of flexible schedules because I think I'd hit a home run. I got to tell you. I can evaluate the storylines. I can figure out who wants what. Let me negotiate with the networks. Mr. CBS executive, I'm telling you, you do want Jets Browns because this game's going to be crazy, and Shedeur Sanders is coming in at halftime. I could do that. I'm telling you right now, I want it.
A little fallback I had.
That's right.
Completely off topic, by the way. A nice fallback.
I like off topic.
A fallback I had. All right. So I was asked, if you had a business,
right?
What would your business be? And I had a hard time coming up with it. But then I saw a video.
Oh, I've got 10.
I had a hard time, and I'm like, all right, off the dome. And I'm like, I would do some. I got into all these details, but I'm like, the emphasis is a sports bar. However, I want a position.
You stole this from me.
That I am paying this person. I will make you sign a contract.
Yeah.
This is not an hourly wage job. Your job is to be the remote guy.
Yep.
Every
Huge.
TV, for the whole week.
I've said this.
For the whole week, you change it.
You don't touch a glass.
Nope.
You don't go in the kitchen.
No.
You look at the TVs
You are walking
and you evaluate what is on and make sure it's the right programming.
Yes, you're walking around. So you set a schedule for the whole week.
Yep.
You're walking around.
But that schedule is flexible to change.
Exactly. I'm getting to that. You're walking around with a TV remote, right?
Yes.
And you're keeping tabs on all the games, right? And you're reading the room, which is the most important thing. Who's your audience in the bar?
Absolutely.
Right? If a bunch of Vikings fans
brilliant.
walk into the bar, I'm going to change the main one and put the Vikings fans because they're going to give me the most money because they're going to order all the nachos off my menu.
Exactly.
And we dealt with this in Vegas.
Yes, we did.
We dealt with this in Vegas. There was like 3 TVs that had bonus coverage of Steelers and whatever.
On every TV.
Whatever. I'm like, David, you said it. This game is over. And no one, and I mean no one, was paying attention to it. And even the bartender had their backs to the TV.
Yes. Folks, 27-17 Steelers. Garbage time, taking a knee, running the clock out on every screen because all the ones that went to bonus coverage that were on CBS went there. Meanwhile, on Fox, you've got Texans Broncos coming down to the wire. You've got
the Panthers walking off with the field goal.
Packers coming down to the wire, and if you were in there and didn't have a cell phone handy, or maybe you were a little bit overserved and couldn't remember your passcode, you had no idea what was going on. It was a disgrace. The city of Las Vegas should apologize for what happened that day. And here's the problem, Michael. They're not the only place that this happens. It happens all
everywhere.
the time.
It is everywhere.
Oh, it's infectious.
So if your little dream job with the networks doesn't work out,
I'll do that for you.
Just come to my bar.
I will. I'm not touching a glass. I'm not going in the kitchen. The remote will be in my hand the whole time.
You know, like that tool belt?
Yes.
Just fill those with TV remotes. Yep.
Roku, Samsung, DirecTV. I've got it all.
All of it.
I've got it all. And I'm going to tell you, I'm checking my phone, not because I'm texting people. I'm too busy to text. Don't text me if I'm on shit, folks, because I'm checking ESPN.com. I'm looking at Yahoo Sports. If there's a compelling golf match and I've got people from England in my bar, I'm going to look at what's going on in the European Tour, for God's sake.
If I had the money, I would do what every TV production does.
Yes.
And I would have a back room with a bunch of scores, monitors,
my goodness.
and like Twitter, for example.
That's a good idea.
I would have people in the back, and I would have them earpiece to you.
Yeah.
Hey, go change TV 4 to.
That's brilliant. Now
Texans, Titans.
Now you also need cameras in the bar to watch the reactions of people. Raiders, Browns, they're getting bored. Change it. We know it's close, but nobody cares. It's out.
David, I think you should just say screw broadcasting and do that.
Well, now here's my problem.
You seem very
I am very passionate about this.
Remote guy.
I love the remote.
Yeah.
Here's my issue.
But you can do this in the off season. So let's say you do a team, right?
Yeah.
That off season, bang, you come to my bar. Hey, I'm ready for
Michael,
work.
here's my issue. I don't think you're going to pay me enough.
Oh,
I
know
live
you're a New Yorker. You're expensive.
I live a very
I
lucrative
know
lifestyle. I need at least six figures. And I don't know what sports bar is paying their remote guy 6 figures.
Lucrative at a Troy, New York.
That's right. So I need I need healthcare. Okay, I need dental. All right,
I need all the remotes too.
And I need all the remotes. And
and I need free food.
And then we're good. And then, now here's the good thing.
We can negotiate. The
healthcare.
No. Like that, I'll give you. Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Healthcare is expensive.
That's fine. Go ahead. Again, if I had a business and I had the money, that's what I'm doing.
All right.
I'll give you that. Sure. I would do like the incentives.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Like the Jets on the big screen. Or like
no, I don't need that.
The Michael K show on a Tuesday at 9 a.m.
I think that would create revenue
ears
for
perked. You see how he looked at
Listen,
you when you said Jets on the big
here's
screen?
the good thing. Here's the good thing, Ethan. In any job, Now, let's say nothing works out. I'm a complete failure, and I end up – not a complete failure, but let's just say this realm of my life doesn't work out, and I end up doing something more corporate, right, or traditional role, okay? Here's what I would like in that job. I want to be able to watch sports. I want to watch my games. If the Jets are playing Sunday at 1, I ain't working, right? Now, at your job, that works out because I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm getting paid, and I'm also watching my stuff. That would be like one of my most important things.
I'm paying you to watch sports.
Yes, that's big. That's big. That's a win. So I would compromise. Maybe I would go down to 75 or 80 because you're meeting me in the middle on that. But I think I still need dental and healthcare. You know, I don't want my teeth eroding.
We can
especially if I'm at your sports bar.
Well, I feel like all Jets fans have their teeth eroded.
Yeah, did you see that last year when the guy was so mad his dentures fell out of his mouth? Did you ever see that?
No.
He was so this is real. Jim Nance and Tony Romo were on the call, and they couldn't stop laughing. The guy screamed at the quarterback. He's yelling, and his mouth is wide open. He looks like a bear cat. And the dentures came out of his mouth. They fell onto the stadium floor. It's priceless. It's hilarious. But I don't want that to be me, Michael. You're paying for my dental, okay? All right, this show has been a disaster. It's 5:52. We've got about 5 minutes left. By the way,
we still didn't even talk about the
we
NFL.
We haven't even answered my question.
You were too busy talking about your sports
We have
bar
not
job.
answered my question. Are we picking from A or B?
What's A and B again? What's A and B?
Wait, no. Wasn't A the newcomers? Denver, Indy, New England.
Yes.
Who's B?
B are the has-beens. Buffalo, Kansas City,
Kansas City
and
might
Baltimore.
not even make the playoffs at this rate.
I don't know about that, but you're right. But I don't know about that.
I don't like Denver. Even like
nobody does. And nobody. I have
their defense. I like their offense. I do not.
Yeah.
I don't. Baltimore's great. I just think they have too tough of a path to win it.
Right.
So, even though I think they're gonna be disgusting, I like New England, but I just don't know. Like they could be like that one-hit wonder.
Yeah. It's very interesting. All right. I mean, it's a good conversation. Now, the team that's
I'm just going off process of elimination between A and B.
The team that's looking to swoop in here and steal everything is Buffalo.
Yeah.
But can you trust that defense?
Right, exactly.
That's what I was getting to, and I'm like,
That was going to be
Can
my
you trust
take,
that defense?
Just because Josh Allen can go down and score a touchdown.
He accounted for 6
every
touchdowns
time.
yesterday.
He can go down and score whenever he wants, and I think right now they're my favorites to come out of the AFC just based off of process of elimination, as Michael just stated.
The defense is atrocious.
The defense is horrible.
And his supporting cast is bad.
Yeah, but he's Josh Allen.
That's
and
true.
He's always had a bad supporting
I know.
cast.
And also, Michael,
Outside
he's
of
always had a
Diggs.
bad – here's the important thing. He's always had a bad supporting cast, and they've never won the AFC. So that's not necessarily a good point. Like, you're right, but that's also partially been their Achilles heel, is he has to do it all himself. He has to be Superman, and that is definitely the case this year. Of all the years, this is the worst defense he's ever had, in my view. His supporting cast is the same it's always been, and they've never won the conference. Now, the Chiefs appear to be slipping, but why? The Chiefs' defense is not bad. And his weapons, Mahomes' weapons this year are better, I think, than they were last year. So I can't understand why they're 5-5.
They're just losing games, and it doesn't feel like they are a 5-5 team.
No.
Like Mahomes is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's got Rashee Rice playing at an unbelievably high level.
Mahomes is not. Here's the difference, and we kind of tiptoed around it. Their defense is the same it was last year, more or less. It might be a little bit worse, but it's close. The weapons I think are better. Patrick Mahomes, and I think this will change. Patrick Mahomes is not playing this year as well as he played last year.
Right, and I feel like
He's not.
It's just him not being able to extend plays and throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Like they're just dinking and dumping down the field, kicking field goals left and right. They're not scoring the points that they once were this season.
All right.
Or in the past years. So maybe you are right with this Patrick Mahomes not playing as well as he has in the past. But
So let's do this. I want to bookmark this. It's Monday, November 17th. It's 5:55 p.m. here in Arizona. This will be the last thing we do today. We have so much to get to on Friday. By the way,
this is what happens when the Cowboys and the Raiders are scheduled for a Monday night game. Instead of previewing the game,
we're not previewing the game.
We are talking about
protesting the game.
Our potential sports bar, paying a TV remote guy 6 figures.
Yeah. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna wrap right here. Now, I gave you guys your time. You know, when I'm on the air, we get a little diverted. The time goes by quicker, but we don't know where it went. We don't know what we talked about. Here's what's gonna happen. Each of us is gonna pick a team from the AFC right now.
By the way,
right now.
Based off of how my picks went this week,
we should disregard what you're saying.
I should not be allowed to pick the winner because whoever I say, it's gonna go the complete opposite way.
Now we've been doing this 3 years, Michael and I. Or I don't know. You joined last year, but I've been doing it 3 years.
Okay.
Never have we had somebody pick at the level you're picking at.
Oh,
I mean, it is awful.
Oh, well, he's not far ahead of me.
18 and 30.
He's not far ahead of me.
No, he's not. Michael is.
I wouldn't be laughing over there in your
also
corner.
a disgrace. Ethan,
Listen,
you're at 3. You're getting 37.5% of your picks.
You've
correct.
met Ethan. You've met my buddy Owen twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No one's done that.
No,
No one's done that.
Be careful.
It's very, very bad.
Yeah, exactly.
My picks are not where they need to be. I need to put in a little more time to it.
I think
Stop
so.
doing it
Or maybe
right
less.
before, or maybe just go with what I think opposite. From
Yeah,
now
that
on.
right.
How about that?
All right, can we make an AFC pick and then wrap?
Okay, yeah, sure.
I'll go first.
Go first.
This is going to be a shocker.
I'm not excited for this.
Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas.
I don't
listen,
think that's as much of a shock as you.
I think the newcomers.
out there
Now,
to
I
be.
think the Patriots are maybe their toughest threat. I have to say that. I think that now going to Denver is going to be critical. How it all shakes out is going to be huge, right? Can the Broncos hold on? Because Denver is a really tough place to go get a win. Really tough. That's Buffalo, I'm not afraid of. Now, I think Josh Allen is a problem, but the rest of the team, I think they are not a well-rounded football team. I think if you're thinking about what team winning a championship is all about being well-rounded, right? Your weakness eventually against top-level teams will get exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do think the NFC champion, the NFL champion, will come from the NFC this year. That's the way it looks to me. But the Chiefs, I think, are not likely to get exposed grossly at any topic. I think the Bills will. I think the Broncos may. And others, you keep going down the line.
Here's the issue with the
I'm done.
Chiefs. Here's the issue with the Chiefs.
Pick your team.
Okay, we have to go quickly. It's 5:57, so we have to go quickly.
Yes.
My team is not the Chiefs. I kind of want to go newcomer just because
You're picking from Team
it's
A.
going to be fun. Yeah, let's
Which
go
one?
Group A. It's going to be New England
Okay.
because they've looked like one of the best teams in football, and they've looked
Yeah. Now, here's
They've
a quick
just been
question.
so hot.
Rapid fire question. I'm going to go rapid fire.
rapid fire.
Colts or Broncos? Any chance for either of them? Or is the only
I think-
newcomer New England?
I think the better chance out of the two is the Colts because they have such a good run game.
Great
and such
offensive line play.
Great offensive line. They're great in the trenches. That'll get you
Okay.
far in the playoffs alone. I'm not too sold on their quarterback.
Fair
though.
enough.
So
I don't think anybody is.
Yeah.
All right, Michael, quickly. And then I'm going to
See,
rapid fire
you guys both stole my picks, but so I'm gonna go Denver.
Wow.
Wow, right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
Like you said, they win the division.
Teams are
Tough
gonna be coming
place
up
to
with
win.
Denver. Yep.
Tough place to win.
You're right.
They're undefeated at home this year, as they should be.
good defense.
Great defense.
Yep.
And I can trust Sean Payton to develop their offense as the season gets down the line. And by the time the postseason comes, I think it will slightly come together.
Yeah.
But I still don't think their offense will win it. I think their defense will win the
There we go.
AFC.
Probably.
here's why I picked New England over Denver. Their coaching staff. Every time they go far, they do well in the playoffs. It's been because of Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels has been a great offensive coordinator for them.
Right.
He was there through Tom Brady. He's now back with them. He took a few years off, and their offense collapsed. They were not very good. Now that he's back with them, they're playing at a ridiculously high level. They play so well when he's the OC.
Right.
Vrabel's a great leader, great coach.
Coaching staff is great. And there's no question
And
about that.
Their offense is just so much stronger and has looked so much better than Denver. Yep. While Denver's defense is a top 3 unit in the league and they've looked great this year, I just think offense wins games, defense wins championships, but only when your offense scores.
Yeah.
And your offense has to be able to score. Denver has not shown me that they're able to score, so that's why I picked New England.
We'll let Ethan have the last word. We thank you so much for listening to us on this Monday afternoon, The Rundown. We will see you 1 o'clock on Friday, same time, same place. Thank you so much for listening to The Rundown. We'll see you Friday.